Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to have my next guest join us here on Motor Talk. No introduction that I could give him would certainly do him any justice. His incredible career in radio broadcasting spans more than 50 years. His program was networked on stations right around the country, including here at 4BC. And every weekday, more than 2 million people tune in to hear his views. He is the king of radio, and it's well known that he has a passion for cars and motoring. And I'm very pleased to say good morning and welcome to John Laws. Hello, John.
What an introduction.
Did you like that?
It was very good, Russell. Thank you.
It means a lot coming from you, John, I can tell you. John, I'm sure, and obviously as I said in the introduction, so many 4BC listeners were tuning into you each and every day. I'm sure they're interested to know, what have you been up to, how's retirement, and how really are all things going for you?
Well, the time seems to go very quickly. I never feel as though I've got nothing to do. I've been doing a bit of travelling, because I like doing that. I've been buying motor cars because I like doing that, but not as many as I used to, and doing a lot of reading and still doing some work, writing and things. I keep very busy.
So would you say life's busier now than what it was when you were on air?
No, but certainly as busy, and the time parameters are different. I mean, when I did the morning program, I'd have to get up really early in the morning and go and read newspapers and things. Now I sleep in till around 7, and I come to the office every day and spend a number of hours here, so there's plenty to do. Fantastic.
John, and you mentioned right at the start that you do have a passion for cars, and it was pretty well known that your love for cars and motorcycles and trucks was quite well renowned.
Anything that had a motor in it.
When did all that start? Was there a moment where you thought, I just love being on the road?
I think it was before I even was on the road. When I was a kid, when we were living at Cremorne in Sydney, and I used to wait for my dad to come home from work in the afternoon, and I'd stand at the front gate and watch the cars go by and learn every make and every model, and I was just fascinated by motor cars. And every day I used to do just that. Then I started to buy magazines, Auto Car and English Motor and magazines like that, and the fascination just continued.
What was your first car, John?
A 1928 Austin Meteor.
Wow.
What it was the famous little Austin 7.
Yep. But
they put a body on it that was like a monoposto body with a duck tail and cycle guards. It was like a little racing car, but it fell over.
I was going to say to you, on the motorsport front, did you ever race at all, or did you ever have an interest in going motor racing?
Yes, I did. I had a great interest in doing trials. I did a couple of round Australia trials.
Ah.
And I love driving fast. That's the trouble.
It's one of those things, isn't it? What was your best memory of, I guess, of all the cars that you've had, and you've had so many wonderful vehicles? Is there one that stands out as being very, very special to you?
Yes, probably one of the ones I've got now, the Rolls-Royce Phantom convertible, the drophead coupe.
Fantastic.
It really is a beautiful piece of machinery. But prior to that, I had a 1952 Bentley drophead, and I had a 1939 Rolls-Royce Sedonca de Ville with a body that was done by Pickford.
Right.
It was very beautiful too. So I've had a lot of lovely motor cars, and I also had a wonderful little 1938 MG-TB, even before the TC came out, which was, as you know, just post-war.
Yes.
And it had a Tickford body, a drophead coupe body. It was like a Jaguar Mark V drophead coupe scaled down. It was a lovely little thing.
Oh, fantastic! Do you think those older cars, there was a different culture and a different vibe with those vehicles, wasn't it? And I think it was those earlier cars that really did captivate passion and the person's interest in a particular brand, certainly, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think very few cars do that these days as they did it then. There was something so glamorous about those motor cars. They were genteel things, even though some of them were quite fast. They didn't get driven all that fast. They were the means of transport and things of beauty.
And John, do you think, I mean, this is obviously, not on the mass production scales that we see today, but do you think that's also what made those cars special, the fact that they were often hand-built and unique vehicles in their own right? Yeah,
and that's what makes the Rolls-Royce Phantom drophead coupe that I talked about, that's what makes that special today, because it's a handmade motor car, and it really is, as I said to you, a thing of beauty.
I've seen some pictures of that on the net. It's absolutely glorious. Just a beautiful looking motor car. One of those things that you just look at instantly and just go, that's the pinnacle of being on the road, isn't it?
It certainly turns heads.
John, what about sports cars, Italian cars? Any interest there?
Yeah. I've had quite a lot of Continental cars. One that I loved, that I think is, at the time, was one of the most underestimated motor cars of the day. Sir Warwick Fairfax had one, and I had one, and I think we had the only two in Sydney, and they were Lancia.
Right.
And the Lancia was when it was made by Lancia, and it had some wonderful features. It had the gearbox not directly behind the engine, but set back in the middle of the car. And, of course, the engine at the front, the gearbox in the middle, and the diff at the back. And the handling was just extraordinary. It was like it was on rails. It was a lovely car. So I had some exotic ones, but I couldn't afford too many exotic ones. I've kept one. I've got an XK120.
Oh, brilliant.
From 1949.
That's a very unique motor car, that one, isn't it?
Yes, and the one I've got is a very good one, I'm lucky to say.
Like everything, it's buying the right ones at the right time, I guess. John, I also just want to talk to you quickly about, obviously, your relationship that you had on air with the truckies of this country, and obviously your interest in trucks and the whole industry itself. That was also formed from a fairly early age too, wasn't it? Yeah.
When I left school, I went to the bush as a jackaroo and worked on a sheep place in New South Wales, and used to work as a roustabout in the shearing sheds around the place, and also drive the bales of wool to Sydney. I used to have to, in the beginning, do this under supervision because I wasn't a very experienced truck driver. And then I just was able to do it by myself, and I loved the idea of being on the road. There's something quite romantic about it. It's sort of the Australian answer to the cowboy, I think.
I think you're right. I think that's the thing in doing this motoring program. We've had so many people call in and say just that just the motor car it's not just a way of life. The car's part of the family, and it's really a lifestyle thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And if you have a passion, you have a passion. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's just I only use it to go to the office and back. It's just a means of transport. But I love them. I love the look of them. I love to keep them shining and bright, and not that I do too much of them, that myself, I've got to say, but I certainly used to.
And John, what about bikes? I know that you had a love for Harley Davidsons.
Yes, I did, and I also had a passion for off-road bikes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to ride a big Husqvarna.
Right.
A Husqvarna which had an automatic gearbox, which was a bit rare at the time.
Yeah.
450cc's off-road bike, automatic gearbox. And I rode in a couple of races. One from Renmark to Broken Hill and back. Broken Hill was well named for me because I broke both thumbs.
So it should have been broken thumb.
Yeah. So I liked off-road bikes, and then of course when I had property, we used them to round up sheep and cattle.
I wanted to just maybe go back to the radio side of things as we probably bring all this in for a landing, but I mentioned earlier that more than 2 million people listen to you virtually every weekday. And
yeah.
Did you ever imagine that would be possible when you started in Bendigo in 1953?
No. I never thought I was very good at it, actually.
Really?
No. And that's probably why it worked for me, because I didn't sort of pretend to be anything I wasn't, because I didn't think that I'd be all that good at it. But I loved it, and obviously people liked it, so the combination was pretty comfortable.
Well, you certainly had an enormous influence on so many people, John, and I think that was the thing that was magic about your show. Every program was different, and when I was doing some research for this chat today, it just blew me away. The people that you've had on air, it's just incredible. And again, I suppose, was that something that would often amaze you, just who you'd be talking to some days? Yeah,
but the best people to talk to are the people who are listening to us now.
Absolutely.
They're the real people of Australia, and they're the ones that I loved and love. I'd do it again sometimes, but I think probably my retirement is what I should stick at.
So you couldn't be tempted back, you think?
I probably could. Nobody's asked yet. But
would you do a car show, John?
Sure.
There's a spare seat in our studio. We have very good coffee and biscuits here at 4BC, as you're probably aware.
The trouble is it takes a little time to get there.
John Laws, it's been a fantastic opportunity to speak to you today. As I said, the time often when we have these chats goes so quickly. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on air, and I want to thank you so much for your time. I know you're still a very, very busy man, and on behalf of all the listeners and certainly 4BC, it's been great to have you on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, it was very, very nice of you. I enjoyed it, and obviously you're a very nice fellow, Russell, so I like talking to you, and whenever you want to give a call again, by all means, you know where to find me.
Fantastic, John. Really appreciate it. You take care.
Thanks, Russell.